Hi, everybody. Today is Thursday, January 9th, and our friend Andrei Martyanov is back with us. Welcome back, Andrei.
Oh, my pleasure.
Andrei, talking about the conflict in Ukraine with the new attack in the Kursk region. And today we've heard about the final package going to Ukraine. It was announced as 500,000, $500 million, if I'm not mistaken. And here is what Zelensky said about the Kursk region and the attack, how successful they were.
Example, take the Kursk operation. It's one of our wins, I think one of the biggest wins, not just last year, but throughout the war. Russia had to pull almost 60,000 troops of the Ukrainian front to deal with it.
Yeah. Here is what he said, and when Lloyd Austin announced that they're going to send the last package to Ukraine. What was, Andrei, if you look at this new attack in the Kursk region, we had talked about the first and right now the second. What was the main reason in your opinion?
First, attack, maneuver. First, I think that Zelensky, Syrsky, and others should be hired by the U.S. Army General Staff and Command College in Leavenworth, Kansas. They will show the U.S. Army how to fight, really, So I think so they should be, absolutely. I can write a recommendation because this is the level of the people who are running the whole damn thing. In Washington, that's what they believe. First, attack is maneuver. In other words, they begin to move towards their death and they declare it a victory. So sure, yeah, why not? Yeah, hey, today I was making video and I rewinded back a couple of years ago, or a year and a half, and United Kingdom defense minister telling that Russians fight in Bakhmut with shovels. That's their analysis. I think so. That's the level of the military science in NATO. It is driven by all those people from, and I mean, you know what? There is only such a certain level of sarcasm and irony you can reach before this BS, which they pretend that they know how to fight. They don't. Give me any American general, including their 5 stars. I mean, they have no clue what is going on. They wouldn't be able to run the freaking brigade, let alone the division or corps, let alone army in those conditions. And so, yeah, that's the only PR they are good at. They have those sources from the which are controlling rather those people in U.S. media who basically pour in, Ukrainian propaganda. Let them. What can I say? You cannot flow or swim constantly in this cesspool of a complete absurdity. And if they didn't lose enough their respect and integrity, they can continue to do that. And yeah, what I can say, as already stated, I can write the recommendation to Mr. Zelensky and Mr. Syrsky as one of the greatest commanders out there. So that's how NATO should fight, actually. This is, Russians are laughing their asses off, but what can I say? There's difficult even to comment that.
Andrei, what has happened to Zaluzhny? We haven't heard from him since he was removed from power.
I don't know. He's somewhere in London. That's where the good place for him to be. I think so. He also have to go and teach in the Sandhurst in this vocational school for the losers of the they produce them, call them officers, and so yeah, let him teach British how to fight. Okay, that's their level. They should. Yeah, there you go. He should also visit Chatham House and MI6 headquarters and also tell them about the war. They may learn something. So what can I say? I mean, this is a panopticon, essentially. It's a circus, a bunch of people who killed more than 1 million of own personnel under the guidance of the NATO, fighting doctrines. So, hello, hey, let them. What can I say? So, Zaluzhny stays in London for now.
Along with this aid from the United States, we've learned that Germany announced that they will supply Kiev with nearly 50 guided missiles. called Iris-T.
Iris-T, it's air defense complex, yeah.
Yeah, air defense system.
Yeah.
How is it a new air defense system? Is it an old one? And how capable is that?
Well, it's a fairly modern system. I mean, it's not the cutting edge per se. There's no cutting edge air defense systems in NATO arsenal at all. There are some good systems, but that's about as far as you can go describing them. Even Patriot Pack 3 can shoot combat aircraft here and there. I mean, they are certainly capable of dealing with this. They are absolutely inefficient and absolutely unsustainable in the modern 21st century combat, which is filled with the high supersonic and hypersonic weaponry. They are incapable to intercept it. And basically, that's why they act primarily from the ambushes, what's called air defense ambush. You turn on radar fast, just do the couple of swipes, get this targeting, essentially to get the, firing solution. And that's it. After that, it's up to you if you continue to guide the missile, depending on this semi-active. Most of them are active. That means what? Shoot and forget missiles. And after that, you say and pray that X-31 or KH-31 doesn't fly into your place. So that's pretty much it. And what can I say? But as I already stated, they should listen to Mr. Zelensky. Any kind of movement of the kamikazes is called the offensive. I made my last video is about semantics. Basically, it is all they throw in battalion, tactical group. It gets annihilated within 6 hours, and they call it a success. They killed, today it's 51,000 killed in Kursk alone. It's killed. So they basically annihilated. This is British plan, by the way. This is their operations people, who... and they killed the combined arms army in Kursk alone. Russians obliged. So there you go.
Do you understand what does the British government want in Ukraine? Because after all, I don't see any sort of objective. They're just trying to continue this conflict. I don't see anything beyond that.
It's mental. It has nothing to do with anything other than for British to pretend that they still matter. They don't. They have a joke of an army, joke of a navy, with even their nuclear-powered strategic missile submarines. They go with their 16 containers. Only 2 or 4 usually carry their American-made Trident II D5 missiles. So it's a joke, but they want to stay relevant, to pretend that they matter, that they're a great empire. They're nobody. They're a little island, with the which is turning into the third world hellhole. And really fast, and remove Rolls-Royce and a couple of other industrial plant. It's going to be a third world country with a good football league, though, I have to admit. English Premier League is pretty good.
It seems that Donald Trump, together with J.D. Vance, are forcing Europeans to increase their budget for the defense budget to 5% of their GDP. Here is what Olaf Scholz was just opposing this type of suggestion. I don't know if we can call it suggestion. It's just an order from the United States. But Olaf Scholz is not agreeing with the United States. Here is what the British are talking about.
Put our money where our mouth is. That starts by facing the facts. Donald Trump and J.D. Vance are simply right when they say that Europe needs to do more to defend its own continent. It's myopia to pretend otherwise with Russia on the march. So this government will lay out a clear pathway to reaching 2.5% of our GDP on defence. A figure, lest we forget, that the last Labour government met and was never met by the Tories since David Cameron's cuts. And with John Healey, we will lead and we will change to convince all of our NATO allies that rising defence spending is a strategic necessity.
Yeah, Americans are talking about 5%. He's talking about 2.5%. Olaf Scholz is not agreeing anything above 2%. What's going on, Andrei?
First, what is going on are hollow numbers of the monetary economy, financialized economies of the West. They can increase it to 10%. These are empty banknotes, essentially. You cannot buy much on it anyway, even if you have money, which they do, as a matter of fact. They can print, stuff. United States certainly, but the more you print, the less and less it buys for you. It is so simple. Not to speak about the complete deindustrialization of the NATO countries or European Union countries. What's the point of increasing something when they don't have the industrial base to do so? Look at Germany. It is industrially devastated. It will turn into the third world. It's on the way there. Per England, per United Kingdom, it's funny. The only thing they have, they are not even, soon they will be the top 10 countries in the world without own metallurgical industry. This is like third world. I mean, I cannot even express enough what it means. How can you build anything when you don't have? I mean, what's the name of this? The Indian magnate, Indian oligarch who owns the only the metallurgical plant or company in Great Britain. He was already having plans a couple of years ago to remove it there because it's actually doesn't turn out any profit. So there you go. You have people who destroyed their strategic industries because they all are nincompoops. They're not very bright people. They're stupid. And of course, yeah, they will do as the United States tells them to do. And all this talk about that Europe will take care of itself, they have to hold on for now to whatever they have left, like some shipbuilding, including obviously French and Airbus and those overpriced and god-awful German cars, and things of this nature. That's it. There's nothing left there. And energy, Europe has no energy. Europe is, I looked up to the statistics. They increased the buy of the liquefied natural gas from Russia. United States cannot deliver as they promised. So they promised, well, guess what? They cannot deliver it. So, well, Europe essentially is, it's bankrupt, not only in financial sense, it is bankrupt in the resource sense because modern economy is a high energy economy. Europe has none, with the small exception of their French nuclear powered stations. The rest of it is just pathetic. I mean, they are totally dependent, and that's what they will become. They will become economically irrelevant, just, large peninsula at the Eurasian landmass. And Russia, again, all contracts are up by 2027, I believe. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. After that, well, they are free to do whatever they want to do. They can go and beg the United States to, give them some energy, which the United States itself needs, so there you go.
It's so amazing to see that they're making an enemy out of Russia, that this enemy wants to march toward the eastern part of Europe. At the same time, it's Donald Trump who wants to capture Greenland, and nobody's talking about it.
I'm talking today in my video.
It seems to me that they're fooling themselves. I don't know how long does it take for these people to come to some sort of sanity.
Oh, they will not come. These people will not come. Today, Foreign Minister of France, this big time, foreign country of France, so Mr. Barrot, talking to one of the French radio, and of course they need to talk and convince themselves that they matter and they are great people and all things like that. They are second-tier power at best, and remove their nuclear deterrent. They are also just basically third world. They're getting there. And Mr. Barrot says that, European Union will not allow America to invade Greenland. And my question is how? For all United States faults, United States will walk over European NATO and will even, notice that. The France really, with its pathetic army, its navy will be sunk in the first 48 hours, So it's just like, what those people thinking? I mean, it's ridiculous. They still think that they're big league. They are not. Not a single European country is the even second tier anymore. They do not understand. Russia dwarfs economy of Germany or France, or even combined, you know. And you look at this, yeah, they still think that they live in the 20th century, before the World War One, you know, this Belle Epoque, you know, all this thing. They're nobodies. And they continue to believe that they still matter. They don't. And this is probably the thing they have to accept as their reality and live within their means, or do what the United States tells them to do. And that means what? They will become indeed fully third world countries with all problems which are already there, including poverty. Many people do not understand how many Europeans are poor. The issues of the hunger, which is what? Not enough nutrition and things of this nature. That's what they will become. That's where they're going. For Germany, Morgenthau plan is in full swing. I warned about it since 2015. They will be deindustrialized, turned into the agricultural country primarily, and they will be tending, as original Morgenthau plan envisioned when presented to Ike, to tend the beets field. You know, they will be growing beets, all kinds of vegetables and things like that. And I looked up their current driver. It's the most respectable American automotive publication from October 2024, the fresh, you know, one of the latest. Out of the best-selling cars in the United States, 25 top best-selling cars, not a single German car. Nobody needs the overpriced, over-engineered junk, you know. So, and that's what it is. You have to prove to tell them that, guys, you wake up, that face the music, you know. So remember Leopard tanks, best in the world. Yeah, we know how it works, you know. So these people lived in delusion. They deluded themselves. They lied themselves. Because of that, they are and actually Europe is the hotbed of Russophobia. And I've been getting hit for this for a long time. Some people, many good Europeans, Germans, you know, British, you know, English people, and say, oh, but we are not like that. I know there are some segments of the societies who are absolutely friendly towards Russia, who are peace-loving people and things like that. But they are minority. The Europe was always a generator of the Russophobia. It ended up with the German National Socialism and Europe going back to Russia, the Soviet Union, in 1941. It wasn't just Germany. Many people do not remember that Finns, 400,000 of them, they were culpable in creating the siege of Leningrad, which saw Russians, you know, civilians starving to death. 1.5 million of them. You know, so people don't remember who defended the Reichstag to the Chancellery to the last. Well, French, primarily the SS Division Charlemagne and the elements of the Scandinavian Viking, you know, detachments. So fanatics and French, I mean, they all together surrendered and lived really well under the German occupation. So what can I say? And they think that, oh yeah, they, by means of some narrow segment of Europeans, many of whom are decent people, make no mistake, they're honest people, people of integrity, and you know, they can go now to Russia and say, oh no, we're not like this. Russians don't buy this anymore. For all intents and purposes, Russians want to be disassociated with Europe. In my 62 years, I repeat it nonstop. And I'm Cold Warrior 1.0, the first issue. I never saw so much contempt, if not the hatred, by the overwhelming majority of Russian population towards combined West. People do not even understand, comprehend this, because they listen to this bunch of the dissidents and all creeps who go to United States and elsewhere, work in their institutions, ranging from intelligence agencies to academy, and they BS them. They BS them about Russian history, about Russian culture, about Russian people. And so suddenly they begin to wake up to reality, and they know nothing about it. The only thing they know about Russia, they read Solzhenitsyn. That's about it. And the only reason they read Solzhenitsyn because they want to feel righteous. That's the only reason. It's a crappy literature. It's all primarily, most of it is the made up thing, which is the fiction. And the only reason they love to talk about it because they want to feel themselves righteous. Look at this horror, look at this Mordor, and look at us, So, but in reality, it's other way around.
What does Donald Trump want from Greenland? It's about, we know that the United States has a military base in Greenland.
Mm-hmm.
What else do they want? It's all about natural resources. It's about the control of the ships and all these transportation. What's going on there?
All of it. The Bay of Baffin, or Baffin Bay, some people call it sea because it is the sea in its own right. It's a huge body of water. It's one of the areas of the patrol of the American strategic missile submarines. There is also Robson Canal. You can sneak into the Arctic Ocean through it. And obviously, Russian submarines, fast attack submarines, go in there to hunt for, American subs. Yeah, if you get Greenland, you can basically build the whole network of the stations. There are some airstrips. Obviously, they're short; they're not full size, but you can always deal with that. And that immediately creates the very safe, what is becoming a bastion, essentially, what is called bastion, for the U.S. Navy strategic missile submarines. Then, of course, you have a lot of rare earth metals and other ores. And the United States always tried to kind of get its footprint in Greenland, including, if you remember this, it was 1950s and early 1960s. I believe that was the Arctic Worm or something like that, which they were trying to build their portable nuclear reactors and make, underground, under ice facility. Obviously, it never worked out because ice tends to move and, it deforms and you cannot really make anything permanent there. But today, a lot of things are different. Obviously, their resources are different. Science is different. Technology is different. Yes, that is one of the entrances into the Northern Sea route and essentially control of Russia of the Arctic, much of the Arctic Ocean. So this is another way, so to speak, to play this game. Of course, having no means to really do it today, because you need to have the very extensive, very large icebreaker fleet, which NATO doesn't have. I mean, you need nuclear icebreakers, mighty, powerful icebreakers. Nobody in the world has it except for Russia. And that's one of the reasons. So shipping, there are all kinds of things, They already kind of move some assets to the Keflavik, which used to be the main base of their anti-submarine warfare aviation for the NATO during the Cold War, because of this, Giug so-called gap. Obviously, things changed since then. But United States wants to be in Arctic. United States has some legitimate claims to Arctic. Arctic, make no mistake, United States is an Arctic nation. But of course, if you get Canada, you suddenly have a gigantic footprint in Arctic, So, and this is, in the end, it is all United States needs desperately some kind of victory, PR victory. And because obviously the humiliation in Ukraine is complete. And $500 million, it's like pocket change. Let me put it this way. It buys you a half of the battery of the Patriot PAC-3. Half, not even the whole thing. So there you go. So, and what do you expect? So this rhetoric, this panopticon, we literally live in circus. It's a world of utter absurdity, which we observe what is happening in the combined West. And especially Musk attacking Starmer. And, oh my God, this is just absolutely wonderful. It's just popcorn time,
Yeah, here is Andrei. Here is the other points that
that's going to be in my video. Yeah, it is.
Greenland, Canada, the Gulf of Mexico to be the Gulf of America
Yeah,
and Panama Canal.
Panama, yeah, that is wonderful. Yeah.
So
Yeah, circus. I mean, utter sheer circus. And you look at this, it's just like, what the hell, man? I mean, this is not even serious policies. This is a complete debasement of the. Not that if that hasn't been enough during Biden's administration, it's a complete debasement, decomposition of the any kind of the serious policies or serious intentions of the United States on the international arena. Because even when you troll like this, which is primarily trolling, okay, it is trolling. You have to understand there will be reaction to this, and the whole world looks at it and says those guys completely lost their marbles. I mean, completely. And if Trump thinks that and Musk thinks that by doing this, and I understand Musk, whose son is daughter now, or other way around. So it's the pot calling the kettle. He's talking about this grooming by the Pakistanis in England, and Starmer obviously covering this up, which is absolute atrocity. And but then again, pedophilia is rampant in United Kingdom, and so I don't know how to comment on this. It's just absolutely mind-boggling. We're looking at the complete decomposition of the civilization. That's how it looks like. It's like Nero playing liar while the Rome was burning. This is exactly what we have here. And for Trump, yeah, he probably gets that United States lost so big in Ukraine, and we already live with the effects of that he needs some kind of PR victory to cover it up, to shift the focus, because they want to send this Mr. Kellogg, Lieutenant General. I mean, it's a joke. He will be talking to people who understand about war and realities of war, order of magnitude more than he and the whole U.S. Army combined, And so here we are. Now he wants 100 days. Next thing you will know, they will need the whole year to settle things. They mean absolutely nothing. In fact, American initiative in Ukraine is irrelevant. Absolutely irrelevant. Putin doesn't care about Trump. If people forget, it was on Trump watch when the whole thing started in earnest.
how powerful is the Canada's army? Do they have a powerful one?
No, it's very small. They have some air force which flies American planes. They called even them CF, so Canadian, fighters, which are F-18s essentially. So they have some very rudimentary navy with some frigates, the old upholder class. I don't think so they even go to sea anymore. They transferred British diesel subs. That's about it. I mean, they are appendix of the U.S. military in many respects.
So amazing, Andrei, when you look at Canada, Germany, France, United Kingdom, as you've mentioned, Germany was a very powerful military in World War II. Right now, look at Germany, what has happened to Germany. Look at what has happened to the United Kingdom, France, Canada. What has happened? What is the strategy of the United States in these countries that just devastated, destroyed their army? They have to accept any sort of order coming from the United States. Right now, Donald Trump is talking about Canada. If he moves toward Canada, if he wants to capture Canada, what do they have to defend themselves?
Nothing. The United States just will walk in. That's it. That's going to be pretty much it. But they're not going to defend themselves. I'm pretty sure there is a substantial part of Canadians who, after the horror of Trudeau's tenure, who devastated the country. And again, these were let's face it, middle-aged women who voted for this cretin Trudeau because he was cute. That's the way the policies go around the world today. I mean, primarily in the West. And what can I say? I mean, they probably wouldn't mind, at least getting their rights back, at least in the United States. Hey, they suddenly get the full-blown Second Amendment. They have the free speech, and they're not going to be thrown into jail, into jail for that. So, hey, there is a, overall, net positive for them. Apart from the fact that, yeah, their economy struggles, and Canada, I mean, it's becoming a drab country. They look at their real estate, for crying out loud. In Toronto, some basically cockroach-ridden, rat-ridden 1950s piece of 900 square feet thing is just like 1 million Canadian dollars. Really? That tells you everything you need to know. The economy in the tailspin. They still produce some things, and they are, of course, rich country in many respects. They have obviously all those oil sands. They have a lot of ores, all kinds of the ores. They have a lot of resources, so it's extremely rich, and it's insanely beautiful country, of course, so hey, I know many Canadians will say, screw you, Martyanov, but yeah, I'm saying, that's funny, and the United States will become the largest country in the world, so that's really interesting.
Here comes the question of these people in Canada, in Europe. What do they feel, and how do you think that they're feeling that they're going to be they're going to be in an extremely weak position when Donald Trump comes to power, or they see this as the same way that Donald Trump was talking about building a wall at the border with Mexico? He couldn't finish that wall, and it was all propaganda on his part, or it has something with the reality of the establishment in the United States.
Trump is not, Trump is good at blackmailing and bullying. He's a bully. He is a lot of hot air, and he can say whatever he wants. The question is if the United States has resources. The United States certainly can take Greenland easily. So, and France will do nothing about it, because if France knows what is better for it. But we live in the world where the might is right. We always lived in it, but before that, there was a kind of plethora of the, how to put it, veneer, very thin veneer of the, international law legitimacy. No, it always was about who is more powerful. And there are three big players, okay, in the world. This is, of course, United States, Russia, and China. How they will set it up in this triangle, with India kind of beginning to, pushing from the below towards this kind of, triangulation. That's how the world will go, and just 2 days ago again, Indonesia became the full-blown BRICS member. BRICS just added 270 million people with the immensely dynamic industrial economy to its, so BRICS right now, anybody who believes this BS from the International Monetary Fund, all this garbage, which are, provided by the all kinds of those Federal Reserve and things like that, BRICS economically dwarfs G7, simply dwarfs. So all those numbers of GDP are, it's complete garbage. I mean, and industrially, it's just United States and its satellites in Europe, they do not even, no comparison, okay? And so the rest of the world can see what is happening. And of course, Mr. Trump is an entertainment in and of himself. So whatever they think in Europe, first, you have to understand, and I'm talking today in my video, which comes up after we're done here, it's a decomposition of the whole civilization of the Western world. The elites are utterly corrupt. They're perverted. Many of them, as you already saw, Starmer was evidently covering up the, for example, grooming of the young English girls by Pakistani gangs. They were raping them, and so they're not normal people. You cannot talk to them. You cannot talk to Macron, you cannot talk to Scholz, you cannot talk to Baerbock, you cannot talk to Starmer. These are not normal people. They are mentally not normal, because essentially today, if you want to make it to the top of the Western politics, you have to be a sociopath. You have to be a person who absolutely has no morals, which we can see Biden administration. It's immoral war criminals. Basically, they are, they're people who support genocide. They, so it's, yeah, that's what it is. So that's what it becomes, because in this case, who cares what they think? And then it's like, I always give the example of Germany, the nation which has the Green Party, which is the globalist, Satanist party, who make this party a viable political force in their nation. There is something wrong with this nation. Okay, there's something needs to be. They have to have their heads examined for something which is horribly wrong. Same goes for French. They still believe that they're big deal. They are not. They're nobodies really in military and economic sense. They still have a little bit of shipbuilding, and they have Airbus. That's about it. And when you look at this, I mean, it's in the end, whatever the United States will tell them to do, and the United States will tell them to jump, and they will jump. And do not forget, the United States is interested in bankrupting them to such a point that they become, obviously, the market for whatever the goods United States hopes to, produce again. And of course, they are a good market for the weapons. So who cares? They will exchange European garbage to American garbage, junk, military junk. But at least, the United States and military industrial complex will get their profits from that. And that's what it is. If you go to my blog, since 2015, I was saying that Europe will be laid at the altar of American ambitions. And not only ambitions, the hunger. Americans want to eat too. And today in my video, for example, which comes after that, is I'm making the case with being American chauvinist. I pretend being American chauvinist, and yeah, I don't care if they go hungry. I have my own interest, personal interest as an American. I want to at least retain some of my standard of living. And if it is at the expense of the Europeans, so be it. Same goes for Russians today, which is really funny. So, and they wanted it. They started 2 world wars, okay? They are the origin of this. Their ambitions, their unrestrained chauvinism and things like that. So they killed themselves throughout the 20th century, and now they want to complain. I'm sorry, guys, you voted for it. You wanted it. And that is why we see this whole decomposition of things, because you cannot continue to live like this anymore. And then they now look at Asia. Germany is not even competitive against China. It's ridiculous. It's dwarfed. They are midgets, economic midgets compared to China. They are dwarfed by Russia. And what do you expect? And they say, oh, Germany is the engine or locomotive of the European economy. It used to be, not anymore. So, and yeah, they better hold on to their Siemens. That's the last thing of real value which is left in Germany. The rest of it, including their automotive industry, is all garbage.
What's so amazing to see that after collapsing their military-industrial complex, I'm talking about the United States collapsing the military-industrial complex of the European countries. We know that in the we are approaching 3 years of the conflict in Ukraine. They couldn't outproduce Russia in terms of ammunition and weapons. If the United States is not capable to outproduce all of them, all the NATO countries, outproduce Russia, and how they can defend if let's something big, a world war, who's going to fight for them, for NATO? There is no NATO.
Nobody. I mean, Europe is dispensable. That's the whole point. That's what Europeans do not. The only thing which Russia and the United States in this case will have to create are those salvage teams for preservation of the artistic treasures of Europe. The rest of it, even Dostoevsky already stated in late 19th century when writing about Europe. And he spent quite a bit of time there. He said it's nothing more than their fancy cemetery under the sky. They are not fancy cemetery anymore. Look at their cities, for crying out loud. Look at the reality on their streets. There are, and again, they, you know what, they were electing those governments non-stop, and now they suddenly recognize that you are dispensable, guys. You are going to be thrown into whatever there are. Volatility comes, and it's already coming. United States doesn't care about you, which is natural. Why should it? You know, all this, you know, Atlanticism and all that, it's all garbage originated by those losers from London, because they essentially, well, read the Corelli Barnett outstanding series about the collapse of British power. These guys, even today, they still think that they matter. They don't. They are a joke, militarily, economically, philosophically, academically. Academically, it's the whole other story, you know. So, and this is the reality. You know, you can say whatever you want about India, you know, and there are a lot of things which are not good in India, but it's a gigantic country in population-wise. And guess what? If you look attentively at the industrial development, it is skyrocketing, you know. So they learn to produce a bunch of other complex things. And for them, Great Britain today is just, yeah, once they remove this, you know, their admiration for the all things British, yeah, they used to send their military to, you know, Sandhurst. 44 weeks, you know, basically the basic course and they call them officers, you know. So then Indians suddenly recognized, because they communicated with the Russians, they learned militarily about Russians from Russians on the order of magnitude more than they learned from British. And today it all came to a head. And now you can look at this and, my God, look at the size of the economies of those countries. Look at the size of those countries. Look at their type of things they produce, and it's just like, holy moly, it's not even serious. It's not even comparable. But they still live here. They have the media. They have this propaganda. They have all those, you know, intel agencies, which lack of intelligence, especially in MI6. They can do only terrorism and PR. That's pretty much it. That's their, you know, extent of their capabilities.
Andrei, in the Jerusalem Post, the Israeli media, they're talking about that the government believes that they have to be prepared to fight a potential war with Turkey. How do you see any possibility of Israel capable of fighting a war with Turkey?
It's difficult to say. I mean, Israel doesn't have a great army. Their whole mythology of it was basically destroyed. They are good at, yeah, genocide. That they can do. And their only political, so to speak, immediate benefit from the collapse of Assad's government they got doesn't mean necessarily that it will continue. But how they compare with Turkey, I don't think so. It's going to be one way or another, decided one way or another. But Israel has the nuclear weapons. Don't forget it. Turkey does not. And if Turkish, by their sheer size, you know, of their army, it's a large army. It's the largest army in NATO. It is a critical force, used to be critical force on the southern flank. They have a fairly advanced air force, obviously F-16s and things of this nature. So they have significant armor force and things of this nature. So I think so they outmatch by sheer size anything Israel has. And that supposedly should tell us that if, God forbid, they clash, Israel not going to last. And Israel will do what they only know how to do. They will try to run their air force to bomb something, you know. So, but Turkey will be preoccupied with Kurds, I believe, for a while. Will Israel get into this fray? Who knows? I think so. Israel is more interested now also with the Suez Canal, you know, and that's going to be interesting thing. And that's the whole other story altogether. Where, you know what, Assad left, And we have the whole new can of worms open there. And this is why, for example, this Giuliani regime, suddenly they say, no, we really do not want Russians to leave. Those bases at Crimea and Tartus. Remember all those, Russians are going to leave, like, United States escaping, from Afghanistan. No, Russian bases are still there, and they obviously talk about their status, but Russians are no in rush either way, to leave or to maintain them. Then this is a very important part for this new regime of whatever those terrorists came to power, and now they wear suits and things like that. Don't shake the hand of Annalena Baerbock. So we have a completely new set of circumstances there, and it's so complex now that it's very difficult to predict anything about it, because who knows, what it's going to be. But there is no doubt, and I constantly stress that I'm not a specialist in the region, but obviously Turks have legitimate concerns about Kurds. So let's put it this way. And they would want to deal with them first.
And we know that Iran is totally in line with that sort of policy, because they feel the same way about the threat coming from. And we know, Andrei, on January 17th, right now, that there would be a comprehensive agreement. Finally, we have the date. And talking about European countries, look at the allies of the United States in the Middle East. No military power.
No.
Saudi Arabia, UAE, all together, they don't have anything. I would argue even their money, they're rich countries, but their money is in the United States. They don't have it in their pocket. It's so amazing that they can manipulate these people. But at the end of the day, we know that they don't have the sort of leverage they have on Saudi Arabia the same way on Turkey, because Turkey is totally different. They do what's in their benefit. Whenever it comes to Russia, to Iran, to the United States, they don't follow the rules coming from
No, Turkey is a big animal in the region. So yeah,
here comes Iran and Russia coming together. And even before Donald Trump takes office in the United States, what would that mean for the region? Russia and Iran, the region that Russia and Iran are located in, the security of the region, and the project they're having together.
Yeah, ramifications are gigantic, obviously. Iran is a large country. It is fairly developed country. It is in many respects powerful country, despite all kinds of the things, related to their political system and things of this nature. And they say theocracy, it's kind of theocracy. It's in the same time fairly democratic. And then of course, if you look attentively at the urban, especially young population like Tehran, and other large urban cities, urban centers, they're pretty much pro-Western because they know very little about the West. They never live there to earn money. They just, view it from their far or as the tourists. And tourism is not the way to learn about the world. And that means that people are already talking that, and again, I cannot confirm it. Don't quote me on that. But people say Iran already is taking the deliveries of Su-35s. They already had this during the last attempt of Israel to attack Iran. Most of it was successful. They definitely hit some targets, okay? But most of it have been successfully repelled. That already tells you something. Now, imagine when they will begin to take the delivery of Russian weapons in very large quantities. And Russia will gladly have their powerful air force, for example, on the southern flank, which will be defending the north-south corridor. And so what can I say? We have a lot of, especially intel people doing some things to sabotage it, which is understandable. That's what they will be doing. All those CIA, and MI6 and other, even the Arab states in the Gulf. But I think so it's set in stone and should be signed on the 17th. And that also tells you, for example, Astrakhan Wharf shipyard, it is expanding dramatically, and they are already beginning to build all those Caspian Sea container ships. So they will have not only the rail through Azerbaijan, they go pretty much from Murmansk through the whole of Azerbaijan with the small appendix of the Absheron Peninsula where Baku is, and down to where it used to be. There used to be the actually Moscow-Tehran rails, rail trains running from 60s, 50s, and 70s. Even during the Islamic Revolution, in 1980s, there were trains Baku-Tehran. They're just, they were. So it's obviously being restored, and it goes through the Indian Ocean shores in Iran. So you have this huge trade corridor forming, and it has a gigantic strategic means, And then, of course, when you have those, whatever the Iran will be getting, we need to wait and see what is going to be officially disclosed after the agreement, the treaty is signed on the 17th, and then we will know approximately, give and take. But I think so the Russians will be building their powerful air force, Iranian air force, back from the already obsolete and old, ancient, really, from 1970s F-14s, which they primarily operate. And one of the giveaways in this case is that Iran has this 6 Yak-130. Yak-130 is a very advanced jet trainer. It also is the light fighter and light attack aircraft. It has a very interesting feature in it. You can literally program it. You can push the button, and it's going to fly as either Su-35 or F-35. So that tells you something that they can fly and train for Su-35 before graduating it, already over there, and that's what they do. You can see themselves, for example, Iranian Air Force with the Yak-130s in their livery with R-73 short-range air-to-air missiles flying there, training. So we don't know how many of them are in Russia training, but I think so that will be the first thrust, so to speak, for Russians to make sure that Iran has a powerful, cutting-edge air forces. Iranians are good pilots, so, and that will be very interesting. It's Israel is probably not very happy. Neither is the United States, because once you have Su-35s in industrial quantities, first regiment, so to speak, which is 24 planes, or squadron as they call it, that changes the balance of power in Persian Gulf and in the western part of the Indian Ocean dramatically, because Su-35s carry, they can carry anything short of the hypersonic weapons such as Kinjal or Zircon, but they carry hypersonic R-37, which is a monster of the air-to-air missile with a range of 400 kilometers. And it has been already combat proven in the most difficult conditions. So yeah, that changes the balance of power. So will the United States and Israel try to prevent it? Possible. We will have to wait and see.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Andrei, for being with us today. Great pleasure as always.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.